on my phone. Hell no.
This is Sunday Sports Buzz, and I'm your host, Charlie Voelker, here on 104.5 The Team, ESPN Radio, and the free 104.5 The Team app. It's time for our SEFQ Sunday Sit-Down, and this week we have the man who was the very first designated hitter in Major League Baseball, longtime Yankee favorite, Mr. Ron Blomberg. And Ron, thank you so much for joining us on Sunday Sports Buzz.
Charlie, it's great to be able to talk to your fans, and we talk about something that has been around for the last 48 years, where half the people love it, half the people hate it, and now it's like a universal position now. So it's something that we could talk about.
Absolutely. So the designated hitter now becomes a rule in the National League Park for the first time in the major leagues. However, you were the very first designated hitter, April 6, 1973. Nobody had been the designated hitter before until you walked to the plate. Was there an extra feeling that day for you?
No, not really. Basically, I got put into that situation because we're down in spring training down in Fort Lauderdale, and I pulled a hamstring muscle 4 days before we were supposed to break camp. We had no idea what the DH was. We looked at it as this is like a glorified pinch hitter, and we joked about it. To be honest with you, we always would say, anybody that would hit in spring training as a DH, we always would say this guy shouldn't even bring his glove. He should just hit. And basically, Charlie, it was a joke. We never thought it was going to last 6 months, to be honest with you. Look at it now. It's 48 years later. It's a position player now. The first year got Edgar Martinez got the first DH as a Hall of Famer. I think the next Hall of Famer as a DH is going to be David Ortiz. So it's a position player. I love it. I think it's great for the game of baseball. Like I said, the National League hated it for so many years. Now they got pushed into this situation. And it's really, really funny. I've been doing so many radio shows in the last couple of weeks, and the people that I've spoken to for the last 40-something years hated it. Now they come into me and they love it. So, a lot of front runners out there. So it's something, Charlie, that we could talk about. It's something that I love. Like I said before, I love the DH. And, if you look at the Yankee teams now, you're going to have quite a few DHs on that team. You're going to have Aaron Judge, probably going to be a DH some. You have Stanton's going to be a DH some. You have Sanchez going to be the DH some. So it's great for the game of baseball.
It really is, and I think a lot of fans, especially today's fan, really wants to see a lot of offense in the game. The fan that likes that 1-0 pitching duel just seems to have gone away.
Oh, it's totally gone away. When I started, it's small ball, everything first to third bunt. Now it's home run and nothing. And the DH is going to hit a lot of home runs. People are looking at home runs as when we hit home runs, we used to hit them far too. But unfortunately, we didn't have this modern technology to tell us about the velocity of the ball, how many seams went over the fence, how far it went over the fence. We knew we hit the ball a long ways. And thank God I'm not a mathematician, because I have no idea about these analytical I just know about if you hit a ball over the fence, it's a home run. Nowadays, they don't want to just hit the ball over the fence. They want to hit the ball up and up a deck. They want to hit the ball up in the center of the center field fence. And, they all looking at, they want to hit the ball 450 feet. As soon as they hit the ball, and they run into the clubhouse, and the first thing that the computer will say, this ball went 464 feet. And then somebody else will try to hit the ball farther. So, it's a game of competition, even though it's on the field and off the field. And And, and luckily, unfortunately, this year I haven't been at the stadium. I should be at the stadium now, doing a lot of games. I do a lot of stuff with the Steinbrenners and a lot of meet and greets. And I do a lot of stuff with Michael Kay and John Sterling. And it's a lot different. But, I'm going to watch it on TV. It's going to be fun. And I want to see how far they can hit the ball.
This is Sunday Sports Buzz, and we're hanging out with former New York Yankee Ron Blomberg. Ron, you came up in '69. That was your first big year with the Yankees. Was in '72. You had a great '73. You hit .329. Talk about what it was like to be a New York Yankee during the 1970s.
Let me tell you something. I was very, very lucky. I was a pretty decent athlete living in Atlanta, Georgia. And in 1967, I signed a letter of intent to play basketball at UCLA with John Wooten. And when you sign a letter of intent back then, that means that you actually have to go to that school. Nowadays, you got all the recruits. They take a recruiting trip. They commit then they take another recruiting trip, and it's they committed to 8 or 9 different schools. Okay, so I was very, very lucky. Down south, baseball was not the biggest sport. The biggest sport, to be honest with you, is football, college football. Of course, you got the Georgia Bulldogs, you got Tennessee, you got Alabama, you got South Carolina, Florida Gators. So, it's very, very big down there. And so I I love baseball, but I played basketball and football. I was a parade All-American in all 3 sports. And but I was very lucky. I got drafted number 1 in the country in 1967 by the Yankees. And being a Jewish ball player, living down south, coming up to New York and get drafted by the New York Yankees, where it was actually my favorite team, and Mickey Mantle was my favorite player. And to be able to get drafted by the New York Yankees, to sign a contract up in New York, go to Yankee Stadium, take batting practice up there. That day, I'm 17 years old when I signed. I go up in the press box. The first guy that you probably don't remember because you're too young was a guy named Walter Cronkite.
Absolutely, I remember.
Okay,
I'm not too far off from you, Ron.
Okay, and he was really, really big. Okay.
Yep.
And then I had Phil Rizzuto, of course,
sure.
Bill White, and Frank Messer.
Oh, wow.
And I'm looking at Yankee Stadium, and I'm getting dressed down where Yogi Berra and Mickey Mantle and Whitey Ford and Joe DiMaggio. And then I go out to the Yankee monuments. I'm 17 years old, and I'm looking at that stadium. Of course, I've never seen anything like that before in my life. My parents had no money, and we couldn't even fly any places. But we took a plane from Atlanta to New York City. And to be able to do these things and to be part of the New York Yankees, let me tell you something. It's not, I always tell my friends, I got so many friends in the New York Mets, and everybody on the New York Mets will always tell me if they just had one day with the New York Yankees, they'd be, they'll make a fortune. And being with the Yankees is incredible. And, they're the greatest organization in the world. When I signed with the Yankees, CBS owned the team, and then George Steinbrenner, of course, bought the team in '73. And let me tell you something. When he bought the team, he went to get the free agents. He started trading guys, and we had an unbelievable run. He was a great guy. He was tough as nails, but you give him 120%, he'll give you 125%. So I play for the greatest organization in the world, Charlie.
Absolutely. And we're here right now with Ron Blomberg. You're listening to Sunday Sports Buzz, and Ron, the very first designated hitter in Major League Baseball. Ron, we're getting towards the end, but tell us maybe your favorite teammate.
It's very, very simple. Thurman Munson was my teammate and my roommate for 5 years. I am writing a book about Thurman. It's coming out in March of next year. I have an author who was the editor with the Rolling Stones, and his name is Dan Epstein. It's going to be The Captain and Me. And it's going to be a great book. It's going to be funny. It's not going to just be a baseball book. It's going to be a book about pranks. It's going to be what we did on the field and off the field. And also, I got another book that came out in 2007, and we got a paperback. It's called The Designated Hebrew. And that was a New York bestseller in 2007. So I'm going to plug my book now.
Absolutely.
If you want to get the book, it's a great book. It's in paperback now. It's you got to go to Ron Blomberg. It's 10. It's RonBlombergYankees.com. It's a great book. It's about me, about growing up, about what I went through in my career, and it's a wonderful read. But the book that you really got to get is The Captain and Me with Thurman Munson, and it's coming out in March of next year.
Well, there's no doubt about that, and we're going to have you back on next March, Ron, and we'll talk about your book. Ron Blomberg, Major League Baseball's very first designated hitter. Thank you for joining us this week on CEFQ Sunday Sit Down. We truly appreciate your time, and the very best of health and happiness to your family, my friend. And honestly, we are going to call you back in March to bring you back on. Sunday Sit Down is brought to you each week by our friends at CEFQ.